1999 The Podcast is a production of the Cage Club Podcast Network. For more podcasts on movies, comics, and all things pop culture, head to cageclub.me. To contact us with questions, comments, or just to say hi, send us an email at 1999@cageclub.me. You can find me on Twitter at probablyrealjb and Joey at Soulpot. And you can follow the show on Twitter at 1999 The Podcast. To support the show, please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. The show is written, produced, and edited by us. Welcome to the 1999 The Podcast Recap Show. I am John Brooks.
And I am Joey Lewandowski. And John, this is supposed to be the show where I don't remember what we do or what we cover. You're not supposed to fumble. I can't even say fumble. My whole premise is, no, it's correct. It's still correct. You're supposed to be the correct one. I'm supposed to be the mess up. But you're saying 1999, and I don't know what's going on.
I'm broken. I was explaining to Joey off air, so to speak, that round this time of year in New England, when the leaves start falling and the humidity starts dropping, my respiratory system just does not like the adjustment whatsoever. So around this time, I get a sinus infection always, and it messes with my whole sort of system and ability to talk and think and all of that sort of thing. I took the day off work today. That's how bad it was this morning.
Wow.
So yeah, but I'm on the mend. It just is every October my voice gives out after talking for 10 minutes and it just goes really raspy. It just sucks.
Good thing podcasts are famously less than 10 minutes.
Yes, right. The average podcast 8.5 minutes long. So good for me. Anyway, I'm sure anybody who's listened to me on podcasts, if they are very attentive, will notice this happens around this time of year. There's a change in my voice between October and November, and it's always the case. So today's the first day of it, and so yeah. So it's hard to get words out because I'm also very tired and everything else. But I'm whatever. I'm good. I'm excited to talk about this last round that we are just now completed.
4.
Round 4. Yeah, 4. Round 4 done in the books. I got some numbers, I got some names, I got some things to say. So first of all, our thanks to our guests this round: BJ and Harmony Colangelo, Alex Steed, Jess Collins, Mike Manzi, Dan Colon, Steven Sable, Matt Stewart, Greg McLennan, Julia Sermons, and Becky Ellis, and of course, the one and only, and I never found out where this name came from, but Shreds.
He's a skateboarder. He's a cool dude.
He's not. Is he really a skateboarder?
He was at one point, but he is not now, but he just shreds it up.
Oh, okay. So, okay. I thought that maybe it had something to do with a wheat-based hobby that he has or something that strikes me more as a...
No, that's interesting. No, there's I don't fully understand the why the Tao of Shreds, but there is a lot of mythology of Shreds on How to Win the Lottery. If you want to go explore that, there's a lot. You can also learn his real name. I don't want to wizard behind the curtain here. Just go listen to How to Win the Lottery.
Okay. All right. And you'll learn more about why Shreds is Shreds, not his real name.
The why of Shreds.
Alas. Yeah. Do you think there's someone named Shreds out there today? I feel like there is.
Yes.
Right? A child of a skateboarder. Got to be named Shreds. If your name is Shreds and you're listening, write us an email. Let us know how you got your name. That's pretty interesting. Cool name. Our movies for this round were American Movie, Go, Wild Wild West, A Midsummer Night's Dream, Simon Says, Bowfinger, The Straight Story, Mystery Men, and Topsy Turvy. And it was, I guess, what the kids would say, a mixed bag. Is that fair to say?
Mm-hmm.
This is the inevitable conclusion of what happens when... So last round when we let other people pick the movies, sort of a mixed bag. This time we picked him. Same thing.
Yeah, the show's never really going to be as good as... not the show, but the first 2 seasons, there were some stinkers, of course. But when the premise is we're going to do the biggest, best, overall unanimous movies, the top 18... Great way to start. real nice way to shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
Like Brian Rodriguez, who has been on this podcast. He was on this podcast talking
For
about
election. Yep.
on High School Slumber Party for years had not covered Clueless. And I'm just like, dude, when are you going to cover Clueless? Like, that's a seminal high school
still not
film.
10 Things, right? He still hasn't done that one.
I believe that's correct,
Yeah.
because he wants to save some so that, he can, have some, I guess, something to look forward to or something, which I appreciate that. But he's also, 300 something episodes in. At a certain point, watch Clueless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which he finally did.
Yep. Yeah, it's hard to know sort of where to start. And I think the first 18 was like they had to be done. But I will say this, like there is in the future going to be a series of 9 movies that are just like Oscar bait, and all of them are like 80 or above on Rotten Tomatoes. So
ooh.
Yeah. And I don't know that like necessarily you or I or anybody would like all of them. But they are all sort of like quality movies with some redeeming features. Of course, the one that we are split on is The Cider House Rules, which is like a movie that I like for very specific reasons.
Oh yeah, that movie stinks.
Even though I know it's not, it's worth not liking. So there are definitely going to be strings of winners in the future for sure. That is not over yet. Speaking of strings of winners, this season had 4 movies that had Rotten Tomatoes scores of 90 or above. So that's, if you're doing the math at home, out of 9, almost half.
Pretty good.
Almost half. And yet, Joey.
Oh boy. Well, Simon Says, skews any.
Okay,
kind
well,
of
hold on a
ratio,
second.
Any kind
So
of
what are the 4 movies in the 90s?
Straight Story.
Yeah.
Topsy Turvy.
Yeah.
American Movie.
Yeah.
And Not Go.
Yes,
Not
Go.
Simon Says.
Yes, Go.
It is Go?
It's Go.
Really?
91. Yep.
Wow.
With all that in mind, with the the skewing of the score that is Simon Says, what do you think? Take a guess. What do you think is the Rotten Tomatoes average for round 4?
So the threshold, the cutoff between rotten and fresh is 60. Below a 60 is rotten.
Mhm.
Above a 60 is, or 60 or above is fresh.
Okay, so is the
you get
round overall
red tomato.
fresh, do you think?
That's what I'm trying to think. I think 4 above 90 is a big. Hold on. I want to do. I'm a visual learner. I want to make sure that I have these in front of me.
Okay.
So if we start with American Movie, obviously high rating. Go high rating. Wild Wild West, probably about a 50. Midsummer, Simon Says like a 10. Bowfinger is like in the 70s probably. Mystery Men is probably in the, I don't remember. We just did that. Topsy. I'm guessing it's fresh, but barely. I think it's right around. I think it's within 3 of 60. I think it's in the 57 to 63. I think based on the quality of the 4 that are above 90, even Simon Says couldn't drag us down to rotten. 63.
Pretty good, 66.2, and
right.
you're off on a couple things. Bowfingers is 81. Simon Says is 0, and Wild West.
Okay, so I was about 10 too low on both of those. Okay,
Wild West
too high on Simon Says.
Is
yeah,
16. Man,
Wild West is fresh.
16. 1-6.
Oh, 16.
Mystery Men is 60. Wild West is 16.
Okay.
So, and Midsummer Night's Dream is 67. So those do sort of skew it, and so it sort of goes back to the center of gravity that is somewhere between Mystery Men. And A Midsummer Night's Dream, its Metacritic score around the same, 64.8. And the box office gross for all 9 movies is $414,395,000, of which, and this is terrifying, more than half
is Wild West.
Just Wild West.
Yep. I mean, we picked some artsy shit this time. You know what I mean? Like, no one saw Simon Says, flat out, full stop.
Yeah.
We know that Straight Story did not
By
make
the
a
way,
lot of money. We know the
congratulations
topsy-turvy-
to our podcast's patron saint and hero, Dan Cook, who got married to his girlfriend, who he'd been dating since he was 17 today. Anyway, go ahead. Yep.
his girlfriend of 18 years, not that they've been together 18 years, but she's been alive for 18 years.
She's been alive for 24 years, but they met when she was 17,
met when she was, like,
and
16.
he was
Yeah,
in his mid-40s.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so if you're looking at the money, Wild Wild West, like American Movie made no money. I would guess that Go made a little.
He did.
Right?
Yep.
Midsummer made a little. Bowfinger made probably a fair amount. Was Bowfinger number... Oh, Mystery Man was probably number 2.
It
and
was
then
not.
Bowfinger
You're right
number 3.
about Bowfinger. Bowfinger made $98.626 million.
Wow, okay. And then Mystery Men 3?
Mystery Men is 3, followed closely by Go. So Mystery Men got 33.461, and Go earned 28.452, though I think on much fewer screens than Mystery Men. So technically a bigger hit. And then we're looking at like pocket change for the rest of them. Topsy Turvy 7.8. Straight Story 6.4, and of course Simon Says at a whopping $0.292 million, $292,000.
Still kind of high.
Still, that suggests that tens of thousands of people saw that movie in a theater, and somehow you don't know any of them, and nobody does. Weird shit. But yeah, interesting round, interesting numbers. Very depressing that Wild Wild West earned half of that money, because I think it's the worst movie of the round, and that includes Simon Says, because I find Simon Says at least fascinating to watch, whereas like Wild Wild West is also boring, while being a complete disaster and a wasted opportunity and a bunch of other things. I don't know. What do you think? Worst movie?
No, Simon Says. It's not even like.
You think Simon Says is worse than Wild Wild West?
When you said something about Dennis Rodman being a better actor than Arnold Schwarzenegger, I realized that I could not trust you when he came to Simon Says. So, I mean, look, of those two, which would I watch again? Like, I would probably watch, like, there's something to me, even in a bad movie, objectively bad movie, like Will Smith to me is very watchable. And I think that Dennis Rodman is good for an athlete turned actor, but I would still take Will Smith in spite of everything else about that movie. I would still take Will Smith.
I might be biased because I've seen Wild Wild West and I haven't seen Simon Says, and so there's something about the novelty of like, what the fuck is this movie?
I get it.
That was very enjoyable. What has Arnold Schwarzenegger been a legitimately good actor in, aside from, let's say, like the Terminator movies, where that role is specifically written for him and his style? Like, where has Arnold Schwarzenegger showed you genuine range and humanity in his acting? I'd love to
look. I'm not saying he should win Oscars. I'm saying I think he's really good in Total Recall.
Okay.
I think he's perfect. I mean, Predator is again one of those, like, he just, you build around that, right?
Yeah.
I think he's very good in True Lies. I think he's fun in Jingle All the Way. I think I think he's fun in Kindergarten Cop.
That's true.
I think he's goofy in Junior. Like, I think he's done enough comedy. You're like, serviceable. Like, you're not going to be wow. You're not going to be surprised. But like, he can do two things. He can do Arnold, or he can do Arnold a little funny.
Yeah, I guess I was just so surprised by the fact that Dennis Rodman really was carrying that movie and like was actually reasonably charming, and that I could have imagined him kind of, when sort of put in the right circumstances, like really carried a movie. And I just like Arnold Schwarzenegger to me is just like, he's a great action star, he's a great like performer. I've never really thought of him as like a genuinely great actor. That like, he is good at comedy. Like Twins is great. Kindergarten Cop's great. Like he's a pretty good comedic actor.
And I think a lot of that just has to come to the fact that like, it's the opposite of what you're used to. So like, even if it's not good, it's just like, oh, that's the other thing, right? Like, it's just he's funny because he's not being muscly, or he's muscly but trying to be sensitive or whatever.
What is your best movie from this round?
Straight Story. I think Straight Story is still like maybe my favorite movie of this year. Like it's not, but like it's way up there, right? Like, it's so good. It's so good. I was thinking about it again recently. I think maybe because I was listening to our most recent episode and we were talking about Straight Story, like you mentioned Straight Story
Yeah.
in comparing something about Topsy Turvy to it. And I'm just like, yeah, man, I love that movie. Like I love that movie so much. I mean, I know that I'm in the bag for David Lynch, but is yours Topsy Turvy or is it something else? Oh no, yours is Oh, is it an American movie or is it Bowfinger? Because those are like your two favorite comedies,
Oh
at least of
man.
this year.
Yeah, it's hard to say because like those are movies where how much I love them is kind of baked into the cake. I think mm, it's hard for me to like think objectively about this, and I guess if I was just a knee jerk, be like objectively, what's the best movie here? Yeah, it has to be The Straight Story, followed closely by Topsy Turvy. But I
But in terms of like
also,
your favorite,
well, yeah, different from favorite. Like best, I think I would have to agree with you.
because I think if you take Simon Says out of the equation,
Yeah.
which let's just take it out of the equation because
Sure.
let's just pretend like it's not. I think that the four that you picked are, aside from the Straight Story, which I had seen and I picked because I loved. I think maybe this is mean. This is overly complimentary to Wild Wild West. I think the two that you picked, American Movie and Bowfinger, were my two like most pleasant surprises.
Yeah.
And your other two, Topsy Turvy, Midsummer Night's Dream, are the two that I would least likely
Well,
rewatch. I
Topsy
mean,
Turvy was
not that
both
I.
of us. We both picked that movie. I
Oh, right,
picked
that's
Mystery
right.
Men and Midsummer Night's Dream of my other.
Okay, then that's then I can still say
Yeah.
that those are two that I would least likely rewatch. But I think like it was very highs and very lows, and mine were all kind of in the middle. Aside from Straight Story and aside from Simon Says, like Go, I was like, yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And what was my other one? Wild Wild West. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. I think I overall won the round. At least in terms of I mean Wild Wild West and Simon Says really bring your overall Metacritic score and Rotten Tomatoes score down pretty low. Uh,
yes.
Go brings it quite a bit back up, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean like those movies are so like several of these movies are so just sort of in my DNA that I have a hard time seeing them objectively. But I will say that like Straight Story, a movie that I always thought was great, is the one that I was most glad that I rewatched and was able to sort of see it in a different way.
Mm,
And I don't think I saw any of these movies in a different way this time. Like I don't think any of them, like a lot of them
sure.
still hold up. Like I'm really glad that Bowfinger is still really goddamn funny and that it still works as a comedy. Because I was almost like hesitant to watch it again because I didn't want it to not be funny anymore, but it definitely is. But I also think that I was really shocked by how much Go holds up and isn't just sort of stuck in its own time. And it's really like a clever, well written, well paced dark comedy. Is it a dark comedy? What do we decide? What is the genre of Go exactly? I don't even know.
Um,
Dark drug dramedy.
I don't know that it has a. I mean, it's more like a mood than like a.
It's a vibe. It's a vibe comedy.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's um edgy.
Yeah. I mean, it's dark though,
I don't
right?
know.
Like it involves like, well, you think it
Oh yeah,
involves like
no, right.
death, but it doesn't really, and it's like not dark. I don't know. It's a good movie. Go watch Go. Go's great.
Yeah.
What was your biggest surprise? Do you think coming out of this?
Bowfinger. I think I was worried about Bowfinger. Like,
Yeah,
well, yeah, I was worried about Bowfinger because I think that seemingly the two movies that you were most excited for me to watch for the first time when we
yeah,
started this podcast were The Mummy and Bowfinger, and I did not
yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
enjoy The Mummy. Right, and
Yeah.
then when I was like Bowfinger, I'm like, mm, I like these guys, but I don't always like these guys, and I'm worried, and I wasn't sure, and then I loved it.
Yeah.
So that was my biggest plus. Like not like it wasn't like a surprise, but it was just like a relief kind of. You know what I mean? I was just like, oh, whew, good,
Mm-hmm.
nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I feel like we came down in the right place on these movies. Like I think if you listen to our last 9 episodes, and take movie recommendations of what to watch and what not to watch. Like, you can definitely not see Simon Says and just listen to us talking about it, and it will be as entertaining, if not more. Maybe the curiosity and to see our beloved Dane Cook give the worst performance in the worst movie possibly imaginable. It's worth it for that. But I feel like people will know that the movies to go watch that are in fact beyond time and space are The Straight Story, Bowfinger, Go, and American Movie. And then also, if you happen to love Mike Leigh and you somehow haven't seen Topsy Turvy, or happen to be interested in the Victorian theater scene and haven't seen Topsy Turvy, go see Topsy Turvy if you are into period pieces. But if you're not, then you're not. And if you are somehow like a person from the 90s who didn't see Mystery Men, it's another period piece. In that it is very, very, very 1999. And it's smash mouthy cameos from Michael Bay ness of it. Anyway, good round. It was fun, and we are gonna take a quick break here because we are gonna come back with a very special announcement.
Ooh,
that is exciting, isn't it? We've never done a very special announcement before. Nothing very special has ever happened on this podcast, but it is now and we'll be back with a very special announcement. We're back from a break, and we have a very special announcement, as we teased before the break, which you might remember because, according to you who is listening, that was like 10 seconds ago. Joey, a lot of stuff happening with AI these days. A lot of interesting, exciting things on the horizon. You might have heard about that. Our exciting news is we are pivoting to AI, and we are going to replace you with an algorithm, which is really cool.
Genuinely so exciting.
Yeah, so I've been taking all the episodes and feeding them into my computer, and I have made a replica of you that will make all the same observations and jokes that you do, and you are no longer necessary.
Well, it's been a nice run, and like, this is a joke, but it's also probably not a joke. Like, it's probably pretty serious. So, yeah.
The reality is that Joey met and fell in love with a Japanese artist and is going to be leaving the band.
God, I wish that was true. That sounds really nice.
Okay. No, for real this time. All right. So Joey is leaving the band. That really is happening, minus the Japanese artist and minus the part about AI, because I don't have that kind of money. So
honestly, way more affordable than you think.
I should type in Chat GPT, what would Joey say about this movie? Okay, cool. So you want to explain why you've decided to abandon the show and the listeners?
That's such a loaded way to say that. Holy moly. Well, so when John had this idea for the show, I was like, yes, I would be happy to do that. I need you to know I already do 2 other shows, and I'm already overwhelmed and overloaded by podcasts, and I basically can't do any work. And you're like, that's fine. Mm-hmm. And then you made me start doing work, and that's not why I'm leaving, but it just, I'm leaving because you broke your promise to me. No, what the reality is that we overloaded too fast with bonus episodes at the start of the lap. We have a lot more that we need to do at the end of the lap. We're doing a lot more How to Win the Lottery, and it's just a lot. And I also honestly do feel bad that, like, John carries so much of the burden on the show and I do so very little work, and I don't think that's fair to him. And so just a combination of factors that it's not out of lack of love for him. There's always Sports for Starters, which is hosted on my Dropbox somewhere, I think, or maybe it's on, I don't know, it's somewhere. It exists on the internet. You can find out about that. If you want timely sports news 10.5 years later. Hey, what do you think about this All-Star game?
No. Wait, how long ago? Like 12 years.
It's
right?
exactly as old as Teddy.
Yeah. All right. So 10.
Mm-hmm.
Almost 10.
Because we did it for about 6 months. Then you had Teddy, and then we came back for like 2 or 3 episodes, and we were basically just like, this can't, Having kids is a lot of work.
Yeah, I have this kid crying all the time in the background. I can't do this. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's that. It's not out of lack of love for the year, which I finally figured out is 1999, or the
Yes.
movie that got nominated for every award, which is American Beauty.
American Beauty.
It's just that I have too many other podcasts going on, and I don't think it's fair to like half-ass my participation on the show, and so I'm stepping away in favor of Japanese artist AI. I got that right? That was all
Yeah,
one
something
thing.
like that. I like how not on your list of things it's not out of a lack of love for was me. That's really
Oh no, there is a
cool.
that's the big reason. I'm sick of your shit. Well, no, that's
Yeah.
I started saying not out of lack of love for you, um, and then I started talking
And
about
you
sports
forgot.
with starters. But like that
Yeah,
was why I
yeah.
started talking about sports with
Oh, I
starters. Like
see.
there's
Okay.
like that's
Good
where
save.
that came from. I just never actually finished the thought. But yeah, it's
I
not out of lack
gotcha.
of love for you.
So listeners might be wondering, like, well, then what will become of the show? Is John just going to talk to a microphone about 1999 movies forever now by himself? And that sounds really boring and terrible. And the good news
Especially
is
since your other show, you were like, I can't do this solo anymore. I'm going to die.
that's true. Yeah. Um, almost literally, I was like, doing a show with Joey is so much easier and better. I need a co-host
And I
for
was
that
like,
show. And then it'd be
cool,
funny if
I
I
gotta
was like,
go.
but I'm doing this solo. No. And as it turns out, so when you talked to me about this, and I was like, that's cool. We need to think about filling that co-host chair.
Hmm.
I think you and I both had basically the same thought and had the same person in mind. And so we reached out to that person, and that person
She
said
looks so excited right now. I
she
just
does look so
spoiled a little
excited.
bit
This is
with
audio
the
format,
pronoun, but
but she is here with us and she looks excited. It's a she. The one and only. There is no other person by this name. It is illegal for there to be any other person named Jen Tisdale.
Hi. As you both know, I'm sick, not with COVID, which is what you have to say nowadays. But I'm very excited. I'm also excited because when you asked me to do this, my first thought was, "Oh, yeah, I would love to just talk about these movies, but I don't know how to do like editing." And I think I said to you, do you do all the work?" So I guess like anytime someone hosts a podcast with you, they're like happy to do bare minimum question mark, like just gonna
Yeah.
bring this sparkly personality.
like
Mm-hmm.
Jen, you will be amazed at how little I actually did for this show.
Well, now that is
Oh,
a
I've told
A,
her.
that's not true. I've been a guest a couple times and I've listened to the podcast. And also John forwarded me an intro and you do a lot of work. And so much so that I thought to myself, oh, I'm not gonna do this. I'll do it a different way, maybe. But I was like, this is very intense. Now, I'm painting myself as a lazy lady,
No.
a lady of leisure. And that, I am on my bed right now in my pajamas and I'm unwashed. But like, no, I'm a little worker bee, I'm a little try hard, but
Mm-hmm.
technology, I find it to be overwhelming, so anytime I don't have to do that part, happy to let somebody else, like,
I get it.
push a button.
And that part to me actually isn't the stressful part. Like that's easy for
Um,
me. I enjoy doing that
mm,
part of it, and like it's a nice little and like anything that allows me to sort of like go into the office and not have to deal with screaming kids for like an excuse to do that for an hour is like great. No, in all seriousness, Jen has already brought a lot to the table, firing off ideas of like, how about this guest? How about this guest? And how about I do this? And how about I research this? And how about we do this thing for the show? And so it's going to be the same but different. And I'm really looking forward to the new direction that it's going to take. And Jen is delightful, and I really enjoy talking to her. And I'm sure you all will really enjoy listening to her. So
my real voice, I don't whatever's happening right now is
in the
all
in the real voice, everything it's all uphill it's all uphill from here for Jen's voice, which
yeah.
is shot, as the kids say, from not COVID or
Well, now
whatever
that
it
you
is.
have a co-host that I actually enjoy, I'm gonna listen to the show.
You don't enjoy listening to yourself, Joey?
No, I do.
No, you do.
I do.
Love it. So Jen and I actually we have another project on the burner as well, which
Nice.
will probably start making appearances in a couple months. So we'll talk
Too
more
many
about that.
Jonifers.
Too many
You're so I
Jennifers.
was just I
Yeah.
was just thinking, I guess, I mean, are we afraid to talk about it before it's, like, into being? Because then if something happens and it doesn't happen, then you look like a fool? Because I'm just
Yeah, I
bored.
think so.
Okay.
It's in the planning stages. We have a lot plotted out, but until we hit record on the first episode of that,
You're
but it's
right.
going to happen. So
You're
I just
right.
I don't want to get too ahead of, because I'm not sure exactly when or how many weeks or months it's going to be before we do
It's
our first
true.
episode.
I'm thrilled about both of these podcasts.
Me too. Me too. I am very thrilled. So we are going to be kicking off the next round with a favorite genre of Jen's. We are covering horror
That's right.
in the next
Oh,
round, and I recently found out, Joey, that Jen had never heard of Audition. So
I am not.
That was a movie that I was like, John, you need to watch this movie. It's great. And he's like, I haven't seen it. I was like, it's going to be so good. And now you get to both experience it for the first time.
mhm.
Okay, look, I wish it's hard. It's hard to do this without ruining it. But like, if you don't know it's a horror movie, it makes it
Yes.
even better.
Okay, but we do.
Well, it is a little late, so.
And
Well, I know
and
that,
it's
but
in our
like,
horror
okay.
round.
I will say
so.
the first hour or so, the first like half of it makes it
Yeah.
feel like it's like a romance, not like a rom com, but just like a romance, like just like a guy looking for a woman, and then it takes a hard turn and it gets
A guy looking for a woman is a horror movie. I don't know. That's just like my day-to-day experience as a lady in the world.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I mean, a lot of rom-coms are rooted in horror, I think. You know, a man won't leave a woman alone and he emotionally chips away at her until she finally gives in, and everyone goes, "Wasn't that romantic?" And I'm left going, I don't think so. Was it? So it's gonna be 2 months of horror accidentally.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah. Yeah, I was actually thinking earlier, it's sort of surprising that there's not a kind of like deluge of Tinder themed horror movies right now. But then I was like, but Tinder.
There have been a couple. There was like a Zoom. There was some Zoom-ish.
Unfriended.
Unfriended. Yeah.
There was also
That's
Host.
true.
Those are great. Like those are really, really good. Unfriended 2, Host.
And then there was there's Shocker. Do you not remember them? It's actually from the 90s. It was about a guy, I think it's a serial killer or a murderer who gets
Yeah. Yep.
But he can move in technology. It's not modern, but if we're talking about like technology horror killers, Shocker counts.
All right.
And Lawnmower Man. No, but seriously, like, you know, a stalker using, although, okay, I take that back, because the beginning of the new Scream movie does play with that idea.
Scream 6.
It is. I like Scream 6 a lot. Really good Scream. Anyways,
every Scream is a good Scream.
Every Scream is a good Scream. And so we'll be back in 2 weeks with our very first John and Jen 1999 the podcast.
Wait, Jen, do you know the sign off? Do you know the most important thing I do every episode?
Scream into the void.
Yes, screaming into the void.
Well, are you gonna tease? Are you gonna tease the next episode? Because I don't even know what the next episode is. I'm now in the dark.
I will. Yeah. Do you want to tease? Do you want to do a Jen? You can think of a teaser for the next episode, right?
Well, would you? Lord, now I'm on the spot.
Just do some Rolling Stones lyrics.
Oh, bum 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 bum, ba-da-dum bum.
Beautiful.
Literally, that song is throughout this movie, this motion picture.
It's sort of like that the Nirvana song in the Batman movie.
I would love to paint that red door black.
I know you were doing Paint It Black, but it sounded like Ode to Joy.
No, that's for release.
No, that's for release. I feel like that was a pretty good Paint It Black, wasn't it?
It was a good Paint It Black. I heard Paint It Black. I did not hear Ode to Joy.
You
but
knew what it was.
I get where you
Joey
got
didn't
that
know what
from.
it was, and it sounded like Ode to Joy. And I would argue this movie is not an ode to joy.
It is not. It's an ode to sadness. Yes.
No. I feel like that's a pretty good, if you're a horror person, because when I saw this movie for the first time, that's all I heard. I was like, this song I mean, it plays. It's practically a character. You know how New York is the fifth Sex and
Ghostbuster.
the City gal. This song is practically a character in this emotion picture.
I agree. Okay, so welcome to the co-host chair, Jen. We'll. It's great to have you. We'll be back in 2 weeks, and Joey, for the last time,
Oh.
you want to sign us off?
Look out for frogs.
Look out for frogs. Bye, Joey. Thanks.
Bye. I'm not dead. I'm not dying.
We don't go back.
I mean, we're all dying, right?
We are all
I
done.
seem to be more than anyone else.
Don't question why she